Hey guys, what's up? It's Patio FM again, and today I wanted to jump on here and talk to you guys a little bit about mass messaging on Onlyfans, and more importantly, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 most important things that you should be doing when it comes to effectively mass messaging on Onlyfans that 90 to 99% of agencies and creators that I've seen out there are not currently doing right now, which is directly hurting their ability to maximize the amount of money that they currently make on OnlyFans. So this video is meant for anyone and everyone. So whether you are a solo creator or an agency owner, you will find value in this video, guaranteed, since you're likely not doing some of the things that I'm about to talk about. Also, if you stay to the end to this video, I'm actually going to be going over a bonus secondary strategy that you can use in tandem with these top 5 things that I'm about to go over right now. So mass messages are an absolutely crucial tool that you should be using for your clients, but you have to be strategic about it, right? There are several ways that you can use messages on OnlyFans. However, the most effective way to use mass messages is to engage fans and to get them talking in hopes of getting them into scripts or relationships rather than just spamming PPVs. So for tip number 1, you should be using mass messages as questions to get them talking in order to extract personal information about those fans with the purpose of building a relationship. So I'm going to give you some examples here. Non-sexual ones are typically going to be a lot more effective, but sometimes you can mix in some sexual ones. Just don't be way over the top because that's going to seem fake, but everyone's on OnlyFans for a reason, right? So some examples are like, hey, are you not working today? On like a weekday is when we would typically ask something like this. And you can use this to indirectly ask what type of work they do and build a relationship around that. Another thing that you can ask would be something like, what's your favorite thing about the city that you're from? I'm planning a trip there. This is one that asks where they're from and also plants a fantasy in their head of like, oh, this model is traveling to my city. Maybe I can meet her someday, something like that. Obviously that's never gonna happen, but you at least plant the fantasy and can build a relationship that way. Another one, more on the sexual side of things, is asking something like, what's your number 1 kink? And this way you can make a note of that information for this fan and then personalize the way that you sell content to that fan, whether it's they're into feet or whatever it is. Another thing that we ask is like, are you more into women your age or are you more into women who are younger or older? And this indirectly asks like what their age is. So these are all just different ways to find out information about fans and ultimately how you can get people to just talk and hopefully make money off them in the future. Now, as far as tip number 2 goes, you should also be using mass messages to start scripts, just flat out start them. So one thing that we'll do to start scripts is something like, hey, guess what? This is almost guaranteed to get a fan to respond. And then you can get them into a script. Like for example, I just went to go shopping and I want to show you my new outfit. So, and then you can have a script after that. Another thing that you can do to start a script would be something like, babe, can we talk? That'll kind of pull at their heartstrings a little bit and they'll be like, is this a bad thing? Is this a good thing? Like, what does you want to talk about? So they'll usually respond and then you can follow with a script. Another thing you can do is something along the lines of like, I want to show you something kind of private, babe. This is another one where the fan is likely going to be extremely curious as to what they're talking about and likely will respond. Another one is, can I ask you a question without it coming across as weird? You see that all of these different things are ways to kind of spur conversations, and it's your job as an agency owner or a solo creator to have a solid script to follow this so that you can build a story that builds an image in the fan's mind of this is happening live and this is something personalized and just for them. Now, the third tip is that mass messages should be used as a way to engage fans into asking what type of content they want to see or what they're interested in. And so this appeases to non-live sexters and non-relationship builders who just want to see long-form content. So what you could have your chatters do with these types of fans who respond to this types of stuff is that you can try to upsell customs, or you could try to sell like pre-made long-form content that the model has previously created. Now, the fourth tip is that you should always be unsending these mass messages before you send the next one. If you do not do this, and listen to me carefully here, is that the message history in the chat will see that there's just been a ton of messages back to back to back to back from that model. And in real life, no girl is sitting there just spamming mass messages and messages to a fan because they won't respond. So it's absolutely essential for you to unsend a message right before you send the next one. So always be doing this. CRMs like Creator Hero or BuddyX or Inflow can actually help a lot with this and just help with staying organized. Now, the last tip that I want to go over is that you need to be building lists to help you with sending personalized messages and not to include certain people. Now, the 5 types of lists that you should be paying attention to is number 1, followers and following. You should have follow back enabled on Onlyfans, by the way. And these are just default lists that Onlyfans typically already has created for you, but you need to make note of these because you are going to be including these lists on every single mass message that you send. The other list that you should be building are, secondly, the spenders and whales list, which is one where you would send a bit more personalized mass messages to, like good morning or good night messages, and you can send a little bit more volume. Take it case by case though, and feel everything out. The more organization, the better here. You can also exclude them as well from regular mass messages. Like for example, if you're asking someone about what their job is and you send that to a spender who you've already built a relationship with, it's not gonna be a good look. The other list is time wasters, which you should exclude from all mass messages altogether. And we define time wasters as people that we've tried to sell content to in 2 different separate occasions, but did not buy. And we also make sure to typically mute these fans so that they do not distract our chatters from priority fans during times when it gets busy. Then we have our 4th list with just dormant fans, which are fans who have not responded to any mass message for a month or longer, but remain subscribed to the model's account. And these are people who just likely log on every now and then and maybe want to see something in their inbox that they can just buy spur of the moment when they're, in the mood. And then the last category is only necessary if you do not have a CRM. And what this list is that it is the actively chatting list. And the thing you're going to want to do with this list is that you will want to put in the names of fans who are currently in the middle of conversations right then and there, because if you are engaged in a conversation with a fan and you randomly send a message asking about what their job is when you're way deeper in conversation with that, it's gonna look pretty bad. So this list needs to be a living, breathing list that you remove and add people to. But like I said before, if you have a CRM, then you can actually exclude people from your messages that you've messaged within a certain amount of time. If you're an agency owner, there's literally no reason for you to not have some sort of CRM, like Creator Hero, for example. But now that you've made it this far in the video, let's talk a little bit about the bonus strategy that I had mentioned before at the beginning of this video. And this relates to the other and more common way of sending mass messages as far as PPV bundles and long videos, which you can do, but just don't lead with this as your primary strategy. So it's extremely important for you to be selective as to who you send these types of mass messages to. And this goes hand in hand with the lists that I was just talking about before. These PPV mass messages should only be sent to time wasters and dormant fans. Do not send these to spenders and whales. Do not send them to new fans. Do not send it to anyone besides those 2 tiers, because what this will do is you might be able to get a little bit of side income from these specific fans who may change their spending ways by just seeing PPV content come in their inbox. Also, when it comes to these PPV bundle mass messages, you should be copywriting a good caption to go along with whatever bundle you are sending that entices the fan to motivate them to buy the content. So I'll put up an example. This is kind of an extreme example of what I'm talking about, but the reason why it's so extreme is because I want to kind of provide some insight as to every single point that I'm about to explain. So these messages should say that these bundles would never be sent for less than $200, for example, but if they get it right now, they'll get it for $24. And then you can say something along the lines of how this content has never been seen before and it's brand new content and it's the craziest thing the model's ever done. She doesn't even know how she's even posting it. And then the other thing that you should do is that drive some urgency by saying that there's a time limit associated with how long this is going to be available, and the model's going to be unsending it after a certain amount of time. And then offer some bonuses as well. Like if they buy this, they'll become a VIP fan, and the model is going to pin the message to the top of the chat, and they'll get access to all their new content that way, and just all the benefits of being their VIP fan. So doing all this is extremely important to get the sale from just spamming these time wasters and dormant fans with mass messages. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, keep in mind that these strategies require an extreme level of attentiveness to the fans from your account managers, and you and your team should be keeping a close eye related to everything from each fan and keeping each fan as an independent instance. But if you're a good agency, this literally shouldn't be a problem. And so just staying organized will make you so much more money on OnlyFans through mass messaging. But other than that, I appreciate the time. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.